it's a somber day. The Goldberg-Pollen family, Hirsch Goldberg's family, our condolences to them, goes out to them, but to all the families.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what makes me the angriest in all this? And, you should never do a podcast when you're angry because you never know what you're going to say. But I did a radio interview this morning, Charlotte radio, and I said to Brent Winterbill, who was the host, I said, the thing that makes me angry is no one ever says the name of the hostages. I lived through the Iran hostage crisis. There were candles lit. The country was unified. But I say to people, there are no hostages. And they look at me like, what am I talking about? If there were hostages, they would be on the front page of every newspaper every day. And their names would be household names now because they would be real and we would need to bring them home. It is covered under no newspapers. No one knows their names, except after, of course, they've been killed by Hamas. So maybe there aren't any hostages. And of course, I'm being cynical and sarcastic. But why don't we know their names? Why is it not in the newspapers?
That's a great question, Robert. I actually made the comment when Hirsch Goldberg's parents spoke at the DNC. I literally said, "Oh, we're now acknowledging that there's hostages," because I haven't heard about it. People are like, "Oh, ceasefire, all this stuff, blah. Oh, two-state solution." While there are still hostages being held, why aren't you talking about that?
Why isn't anyone talking about that? The president just came out and said that the Netanyahu government is not doing enough to get peace. And I find it incredulous. This is an administration that has encouraged Iran, that has put pressure on Israel. And by the way, and I can't even pronounce the new British prime minister's name. They just embargoed. So England just embargoed weapons, that shipments to Israel. And here's their rationale. So they just embargoed weapons, quote unquote. The United Kingdom is suspending dozens of weapons exports to Israel with concerns that the arms could be used to break international law. So it's not like they're saying they were used to break international law. They're saying, well, it could be used to break international law. Therefore, we're not going to give them weapons to defend themselves.
Wow. I mean, can we really be surprised?
I'm not surprised, but I am so sad, and I am beyond disappointed. And I got to be honest, I'm disappointed with a lot of America. Why isn't America always stood up for what was right? Have we? And here's the other thing I'll say. In the words, to paraphrase Justice Potter Stewart, the former Supreme Court justice, I cannot define evil, but I know it when I see it. And the October 7th attacks were evil. The killing of these 6 hostages was evil. And by the way, did you see that Hamas afterwards paraded around their last statements? They filmed the last statements of the 6 hostages before they killed them brutally.
Yep.
So
ladies and gentlemen, autopsies have shown that they were killed just before they were discovered. So essentially, they
time of death.
They are keeping these people as human shields until it's no longer convenient. And Hirsch Goldberg had his arm. He was at the Nova Festival, had his arm blown off, and then had it amputated, and has been held hostage for 300 some odd days. So almost this man was kept alive in a cave for a year. I mean, what kind of conditions could he possibly be living in with an amputated arm by a terrorist group? Okay, they are torturing these people. I do not feel bad for Hamas nor any of their supporters. We might get kicked off of YouTube for this. We might want to dump YouTube for today. I'm not even joking. We might because
maybe.
Benjamin, I'm going to let you make that call. You guys, if you're watching on YouTube, we encourage you to go to the free speech platforms of Twitter or X and Rumble. That is where we can say whatever we want. So if you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the feed gets cut, it's because we've decided that we can't risk another community guideline strike for telling the truth. And because honestly, even talking about, saying that, like saying we don't feel bad for harm coming on terrorists could be considered hate speech or something, and we could get booted. So just letting people know.
I got it. So, and you bring up something interesting. So we have now, in terms of evil, right? If we can't call out evil for what it is, I think, in my opinion, we have lost our humanity, right? And we have lost our rudder in all of this, because this whole moral equivalence of one man's terrorist being another man's freedom fighter is frankly crap, right? There is right and there is wrong. And if all human life is valuable, then why were the hostages? Is it okay for Hamas to have killed the hostages on the verge of being rescued, to deny Israel and the hostage families that joy, that love of being reunited with their loved ones after going through a year almost of pain and anguish?
Well, and
of fighting to try to bring their children home.
And think about this, Robert. Again, we heard from the Goldberg family at the DNC. It went viral. If the blame, you mentioned how they're trying to blame shift.
If we have that clip, I'd like Ben to bring it up while you're talking. Yeah. Bring up that clip, because we should share that with people, because it's heart-wrenching. And now they're sitting Shiva because they lost their son, and he should never have been taken hostage, and he should never have been killed like this. It is unforgivable.
Yep. All right, hang on.
Hirsch, if you can hear us, we love you. Stay strong. Survive.
Bring them home.
And it's that simple, right? I do believe that the Lord forgot the 11th commandment, that no child should die before their parent. Unfortunately, we all know that's not the case, but the pain I cannot imagine. But it's the hypocrisy as well, right? You have Randy Weingarten, trying to blame them. You have the administration. By the way, here's the administration statement. The Biden administration statement is, "We are heartbroken and outraged at the news that Hirsch Goldberg, Polland, and 5 other hostages were killed in the hands of Hamas. As President Biden and Secretary Blinken just said, we will not rest until all the hostages are home. We grieve with John and Rachel Goldberg, Polland, and their families, pray for them to find comfort, and commit to bringing all other hostages home safely." Wow. I have never heard more empty words, vacuous, empty words, Robert, than those from this administration.
If the Biden administration had not made Israel stall, if the international community had not gotten in the way, these hostages would have been rescued months ago, and we would not still be having these conversations. And so if the blame is to be shifted anywhere in addition to Hamas, not other than Hamas, but in addition to Hamas, it is the Biden administration. It is Kamala Harris, whichever one isn't racist, and Joe Biden. You can guarantee more of this blundering, kowtowing to terrorists if we have another Harris presidency.
I said, if you remember the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the botched withdrawal, we were in Afghanistan for 10 years. And then the withdrawal was just such a mess, and the equipment we left behind and things like that. It makes you really wonder, because there were so many Afghanis that trusted us, right?
Yeah.
We are at the point now where our enemies no longer fear us. Look what just happened in Turkey.
Oh
I think
yeah.
it was yesterday or the day before. You had 2 U.S. Marines who
Yep.
were assaulted in broad daylight by 15 or 20 Turkish nationals. Right now, the Turkish government did ultimately step up. They're prosecuting the 15, but the fact that they feel liberated enough to attack
Emboldened.
Americans, emboldened enough to attack Americans anywhere, you really makes you understand that when your enemies no longer fear you and your allies no longer trust you.
Yeah.
So much for Joe Biden rebuilding, the United States' international reputation. If this is rebuilding the United States' international reputation, I don't want any international friends except for Israel and maybe a few other countries that have been staunch
Nope.
U.S. allies, because we expect them to be there for us, but we're not there for them.
I much preferred the supposed embarrassment we were suffering when Donald Trump was president, and
Nobody liked us.
and we
Nobody
were
liked
getting,
us.
yeah, good. I don't want them to like me. I don't need them to like me. I don't. I really don't. I need our allies to like us and our enemies to fear us. And I want people who are supposed to be our allies to actually act like our allies and not a bunch of giant.
Did you just beep yourself?
I did. I have the soundboard right next to me. I can't
I
beep
love
you,
that.
unfortunately. It sucks.
Well, I can tell you it's coming. Ready? Now. No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Okay. Oh.
I do have one piece of, not good news, but just against this backdrop. I don't know if you saw the story, but Israeli archaeologists right in the old city found a 2,700-year-old ring. It's really sort of a seal. It's a stone seal, but it's from the time of the first temple, time of King David.
Oh,
It's such an encouraging find. You should look this up. It's a great story. It really, but what it also does is it shows that the Jews have been in Israel for 2,700 years. They just found an artifact there, right? I mean, it's an incredible thing that it's just. And it doesn't get reported, unfortunately, right? I mean, because there's other headlines going on. But so the name on the ring is Yozer, one of King David's fighters. And it's just, they found it at the Western Wall in the city of David, which if you've been to Israel or Jerusalem, and as they said, look, it serves as yet another affirmation of a 1,000-year-old bond rooting the Jewish people to Jerusalem, not just by faith, ladies and gentlemen, but by fact, right? So it just.
Yeah, sorry guys. Jews were there first.
The Lord works in strange ways, and far be it for me to understand it. It's just the pain I feel, and the pain the hostage families must feel. I can't even imagine. It still galls me that we have people in this country who are blaming everyone but Hamas, and they're blaming now Israel. And someone needs to step forward and tell me what peace deal was put forward that Israel didn't accept, or what aspect of it. And this goes back to, let's remember, Yasser Arafat, had everything he wanted in a peace deal, turned it down and launched the first Intifada, right? So, it's just, where's Steve Rosenberg when I need him? Steve, come back on the show.